Okay, welcome back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with my very special guest.
Randy Villarba.
Yay!
Yay!
How's everything going?
Thanks for having me, Aaron. Just enjoying this Tuesday, the lull before the grind of all the mics and putting your names in buckets or phone calls and whatnot.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna make a phone
Tuesdays.
call right after this. Yeah. So, do you use a stage name?
Nope, that is my God-given name. My parents named me after Randy Jones, the Padres pitcher. I could actually rewind 9 months looking back in 1978 to see the game I was probably conceived on. But yeah, Randy, last name Villarba, no stage name.
Okay, cool. So you got conceived at a baseball game?
Or
Is that what you're telling me?
Maybe after, somewhere in suburbia, with my siblings probably unaware that I was going to spit out 9 months later. The 70s. I remember none of it because I was negative and then one.
Right, yeah. You didn't miss much. It was fine. I was pretty young. What do I know? Let's see. So, what made you decide to start comedy?
Always been a fan of comedy. I mean, since I was a kid watching stand-up, my family would be playing mahjong. And I'd be there with my cousins, and we'd always end up around the television. So late at night, remember watching Eddie Murphy, Sam Kinison. I remember even as a kid walking into Sam Goody to grab Sam Kinison's album. And I was a kid at the time. They sold it to me, and I put it inside my Alf Teddy Ruxpin. So I had an Alf that would talk and just scream like Sam Kinison to me.
Wow, that sounds traumatic.
I don't know. Judy Tenuta, my sister Marie introduced me to. So the avant-garde acting of the fashion plate goddess, giver goddess. Just comedy in general had always inspired me. Even that dude that was banging Alanis Morissette, Uncle Joey from Full House. But I was young enough in the 80s to think that Uncle Joey was funny. Didn't know he was scarring a woman to become Alanis Morissette. But anyways, long segue. Fast forward, I was in my 30s. I was an electrician, traveling the U.S. At that point, I was drug tested, so I couldn't smoke weed, so I started drinking a lot. And then I started writing a lot when I was on the road, stuck in a hotel room far away from home, or my girlfriend at the time. And I came home, was living with my roommate, Vilya, and her husband, and I'm like, hey, what are we doing for dinner? She's like, I'm dragging you to that stupid open mic you keep talking about. And then it was ACC. Sam Wiles was the host. I didn't get up the first 2 weeks. Third week I got up. And
What year was that?
2013.
Wow.
So first time I got up was at American Comedy Company. Text, sorry, I'm rude.
There was someone outside.
Coincidence, you get a Homer woohoo. First time I did comedy was 2013 fall.
Did you get addicted right away?
Yeah. I remember there was this comic, he's not doing comedy anymore, Oliver Bascos, this Filipino guy. He's like, hey, there's another comedy mic on Wednesday over at the office. At that time, a comedian by the name of Heather Turnman was running that mic at the office in North Park, and I would go there. And then I found out about Winston's, which at that time I think was still being run by Jesse Egan. And then, figured out the grind, then heard about the Comedy Store open mics, then started that whole trying to get in there. Eventually got on to the best of, which I was on until moved to Vegas in 2017. And now I'm just still doing comedy, trying to figure out where.
Oh, yeah. So back then, they still make you call?
Yeah, it was the call, the bucket. Yeah, over the years it was kind of cool to have my time at the Comedy Store, but moved to Vegas and then moved back, and then now it's where I'm at right now in life is do comedy. One, when I'm working stuff out, definitely hit the mics. When I'm booked, definitely do the time. Aside from that, I have a life and I like to live. I want to make sure I maintain joy in my life, and you know how humdrum surrounded by the mental health pitfalls of comics could be day in, day out, and as an empath I can't help but absorb some of that. So I don't know, do comedy when I can, do comedy when I get booked, and then I just hit the open mics when I have material to work out. Just keep on chipping away, add those little bits to the club bag, the bag that we have, and then be able to pull out a club and use the bits when you're booked.
Oh, yeah. So what is your writing process?
It's all over the place. For me, it's conversations with friends are usually a good start. Can't help but intake what's going on in this world that we're all stuck in, and it triggers thoughts. But more so, it's conversations with friends, conversations with family, and then just hanging out. Like I said, with the comics, as much as I was bitching about it, the back and forth. Sometimes tags come out as you're running by comics that are friends and confidants. You could run shit out. For me, I have the idea, I outline it, figure out what the turns are. I write on stage more so. The process of showing up to a mic and going, here's the idea. Might have said it to a few friends. I rarely write it down until I have the bit down, because I like delivering it the way I talk. I feel like it comes out more organically in my brain, as if I have this bit and this is the structure and the turn is here and the tags are here. As it organically comes out, record the set as I'm at an open mic, figuring out the bit, hear the crowd reaction, force yourself to re-listen to the bit, as fucking horrible as that is. I mean, we're recording a podcast. I probably won't listen to this shit.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
I'll share it and whatnot, but dude, there's just something about listening to yourself that's just scary. Like, a lot of my comic friends are like, I'm like, hey dude, did you listen to yourself on this podcast? And some of them are big podcasts, and like, I don't listen to myself, so I kind of get it. But when it comes to your own material and trying to work out the writing process, I'll listen to it, try to figure out where I could cut the fat, and then make it more laughs per minute. My comedy's dark, so I realize that a long extended set of dark, I need to make sure punch it up with enough laughs, so you're not just sitting there going like, well fuck, let's go to Lestat's and get coffee because that was depressing.
Do you ever like crack yourself up on stage by accident?
Those are the more organic moments where you surprise yourself. It's like when the muse tickles yourself with an idea, and all of a sudden you're in that flow state where everything slows down of your material, and then fucking say something, and then the crowd's laughing. You can't help but laugh. And some people go, oh, that's hack, you're laughing at your own jokes. But for me, when it's organically something I wouldn't have normally said, but based upon crowd reaction, or like I said, the muse just fucking hits you, and all of a sudden it's like, say this, and then you're like, bleh. I'll catch myself laughing, cracking myself on stage. But for crowd work, it's difficult. That's definitely a weak club. I keep using the golf analogy of a golf bag.
Oh, okay. Now it makes more sense. I was like, club? What is it? Why is
A club. Yeah, well, like you pick the clubs that you hit. I'm pretty good with my irons. Drivers, I suck at. Putters, if I'm really high, I'm pretty decent with. But yeah, but crowd work is definitely an element that we all need to get better at. It's like the tightrope of I have no idea where this is going. I've seen the comics that already have this is my go-to crowd work. I'll find the archetypes and stereotypes and then therefore riff. I prefer the organic. The organic is where I catch myself laughing at myself.
That's cool. So when did you start playing golf?
Living in Mammoth. I was living in Mammoth 2005 to 2012, and Sierra Star Golf Course, which is awesome. I had friends who worked there. Or occasionally on the way home from the bars, you'd be drunk and then just bring a golf club and a fucking thing and then trespass. But then Snow Creek driving range was just right around the corner from where I lived. So it was just really cool to just hit golf balls. I suck at it, but I don't know. There's something calming about being at least just up there in the Sierra on a golf course surrounded by homes I can't afford, with the occasional bear crossing, and you're like, okay, so what do we do? And we're like, try to hit the bear. No, I'm just kidding. Just let him be peaceful, because recently here in Mammoth, I have to bring up Fish and Game killed Victor. Rest in peace, Victor, a bear that was up in Mammoth Lakes. But I guess a couple campers started interacting with the bear, and the bear swiped at a lady. And then because the town wasn't paying the bear whisperer Steve anymore to kind of help coax bears in and out of high traffic areas, they shot Victor the bear. So rest in peace, Victor.
That's awful.
Sorry, I'm all over the place. Anyways.
No, this is what we want.
Current events. Rest in peace, Victor. My heart's out to everybody in Mammoth who knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, makes sense. So, when did we meet? Do you remember?
Pandemic. When did the Madhouse reopen mics from pandemic? Because that was what. Yeah, that's a good question. They kind of blur together, don't they?
Yeah.
When Madhouse started redoing the open mics, not just here in the brick room, but at that point we're still doing Maine.
Yeah.
You were here. I had just moved back from Vegas. Right. This had to be 2020. Was still parking lot mics that Jim Pine was doing. And then ACC was doing the curb mics, which was fucking awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I wish I would have came. I had Monday, Tuesdays off, so I was like in Oceanside just resting.
Those mics were pure chaos. But then when Madhouse started doing mics again, at that point I was hammering quite a bit. Robert was giving us 7 days a week, which is unheard of, or was unheard of, because it's not happening anymore. But I saw the opportunity coming from Las Vegas, where I would have to drive across the valley multiple times to just fit in multiple mics, or even just to get a mic in. And here Madhouse was offering 7 days a week. Here's an open mic. I think that's when we met. So that had to be at least 2021. Sounds accurate?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so we've known each other the last 3 years.
Sounds good. Have you ever traveled to do comedy?
Yes. Started here in San Diego. Was living in San Clemente. So traveling up to Costa Mesa, Anchor Bar, which was run by Evan Cassidy at the time. And I always, at that point, it was driving down to San Diego to hit the mics. Then moving to Vegas. I love going back and forth to Vegas quite a bit. I've been fortunate enough to do quite a few rooms there. Some bars have shut down or stopped doing comedy, like rest in peace. The Rebar mic that was run, that was awesome. What was it? Fuck. The Pittsburgh bar that just shut down. Anyways, Ian Rainier runs a lot of good mics. Johnny Brim on Friday does, what is it? 808 karaoke bar. Anyways, I'm just rambling. Vegas, I've done quite a bit. Well, it's just comics that I know that run mics out there.
Yeah.
Noreen's, that's the bar on Sunday I forgot about. And then occasionally would do a Steve McAnally's show on Wednesday at Rick's Roll and Smoke. These are all these places that I'd love doing in Vegas. If you're ever out there, Rick's Rolling Smoke on Wednesdays. Steve is now up to like 422. I just did a show 420 there, because that was a good number. Then, what was it, in 2019, before pandemic shut down, I was out in Brooklyn, so did mics out there. Damon Millard was running a bar in O'Keefe's in Brooklyn. I think it's the furthest I've ever done for comedy.
So what's your favorite place to do comedy?
Somewhere that's paying me with a good audience. Favorite places that I have done comedy. Honestly, Comedy Store, packed. Had the opportunity to open up for George Perez. That was fire to just kind of hear that place rocking. I've done I've done the Belly Room roast battle. That was fun. That was back 2014, 2015. It literally felt like a pirate ship, and the roast battles that they're doing at the Comedy Store now are starting to get that rowdy fucking say anything, racism and sexism wins if pitched funny, chaos that is roast battle. I love that. So have to tip my hat off to the Comedy Store. American Comedy Company, where I first told jokes, yeah, definitely. That mic on Tuesdays has to be one of the best mics in San Diego. They're selling out constantly. Dude, Nathan runs a tight ship. Once again, that bucket mic, the employees. But if you get the opportunity to rock just that open mic, and I've been fortunate to do a couple shows there too, and there's something about the low ceilings basement of that place that's awesome. San Diego's got some great places. Going back to Vegas, Dirty at 1230, South Point Casino. Run by Gabe Lopez. Started by him and Ralphie May. That was probably one of my favorite places to do comedy. Was still fucking green. That would have been 2017 or 18 when I did it, maybe. Which is new, but I had been doing it a while. But fuck, that crowd is just, it's a packed casino. Starts at 12:30. Fuck, I'd say those are my top three. This brick room here at Madhouse, when we were doing it, packed with a great workout room. I'll put that as a fourth. Mic Drop as a fifth. I've been doing Mikey Perry's Ube World, the Filipino comedy show. They packed the shit out of that club, and that's been a nice ruckus, opening up my brain and comedy to unsuspecting innocent people.
So do you wish you started comedy earlier?
Yes. I mean, I don't know. I'm in my 40s now. Comedy's definitely if I had the desire and energy and time I had in my 20s and started comedy then, that would just be that much more time in the bank, using the golf analogy to all those swings, all those ability to write those jokes, all that material to build up to this point. But then again, if I started comedy then, I wouldn't have been living in Mammoth snowboarding, wouldn't have lived that life. So I don't have a regret, because I was playing music, snowboarding, living the dream doing that. I started when I started. And I'm grateful I started in 2013. like driving up to LA to try to put your name in for potluck. Felt like there were, well, obviously at that point less comics trying to do so, but I mean at that point that's when I got to know Brian and Tony, and yeah, a lot of the comics that ended up getting their name on the Comedy Store, so some of the comics that moved up from San Diego to do so, and the people I would say that I observed 2012 into 2013, the people who inspired me to do comedy, and to see them launch to, as far as Taylor Tomlinson, who I remember doing shows with her at Till 2 in El Cajon, which was a great place because you could smoke a cigarette on that stage. And then she'd wait outside because she wasn't old enough to go into the bar. And then now she's, the first late night female host since fucking Joan Rivers. Fucking amazing to see that. Then you got Brian Simpson's launch. That's fucking amazing. It's amazing to see the comics you start with, and you never know what our trajectories are. I'm just happy that this far in, I'm still trying to figure it out. Some people get me, some people don't, and I'm still having fun, which is key. And I'm just trying to figure out how to, I don't know, navigate the darkness in this world and find a funny spin to it.
Yeah. So what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
Oversaturation, and it's too friendly. No.
Oversaturation and too friendly.
Well, it's
Joe. Stop. Move to another city.
Well, I love
you though.
I love comics. I feel like the pandemic parking lot, everybody was so supportive. It felt like improv bled into stand-up comedy. That supportiveness is great. One thing that is toxic but funny to watch since I moved back is the cliques that are starting. People are just constantly booking.
People like to bring up cliques, but I'll just always remind people that humans are social animals.
No, and everybody flocks.
You have people that
everybody
vibe
flocks
with,
together.
Right? You're gonna book someone that you don't vibe with. I mean,
no. There's that, but that's a good thing. I mean, like you look at. I keep going back to Death Squad as an example. I mean, you look at what Brian and Tony built and what they continue to build with the comics they introduce. The cliques are the ones that continue to rotate the comics that they know they could count on.
Sure. So I think.
But
we're trying to make it a good show.
Trying to make it a good show.
An open mic, you
even
have
for
to try to make it a good show. You don't want to put back-to-back people that are just going to bomb.
But if you're getting the same regulars showing up to the same venue, right, and you're seeing the same comics spit the same 5 to 8 minutes, that's usually a good indication that those people will not come next week to watch the same 3 to 5 people do the same material. So expanding outside of the cliques is great. When people who run shows book more people than the same people that they always book every week, because recycling the same material to the same audience over and over and over again, I get it, it's part of the game, but that's where it falls into your previous question about how far do you travel for your comedy. And that's where I tip my hat to the comics that are finally taking the material they've built in San Diego on the road. What we build in this pond,
it's amazing. You go in front of
or
LA
Bay
comics and you do your jokes that no one's going to laugh at in San Diego, and everyone's laughing. And you're like, yes.
Or you go to Riverside, or you go to fucking Oregon, or you go to wherever, and you figure out how to fine tune your jokes, and the people who hit the road and expand out. I know I started talking about cliques as far as of its toxicity, but I do see the positives of how everybody lifts each other up in that regard. I like to pride myself on.
Not getting arrested.
1 second. There's an OD outside going on. We're in downtown right now. Let's let the sirens go by. For me, I see negatives in cliques. Well, like I said, when the comedy shows book the same material over and over and over again, and doing comedy over the last decade, that's where I see venues turn into, you know what, not just the open mics, a book show will go like, we're done here, you know, and opening up to who you meet networking on the road, comics who, as those start coming into San Diego, expand the list of who you know. I mean, it expands beyond a click. Going back to what I was saying about Death Squad, they're continuing to identify new comics that are coming to them. But then as these comics hit the road, whether they're doing Kill Tony or coming to comedy clubs, they're bringing new faces, new material. Anyways, this long rant is brought to you by Industrial Grind Coffee. Industrial Grind Coffee.
Don't buy it.
No, buy it. It's awesome. I'm just going off on tangents here.
Okay.
Randy's Rambles, brought to you by Industrial Grind Coffee.
Yeah, like running an open mic / show every week, Friday, Saturdays, and it's hard to get people to even ask to be booked, and it's crazy. It's like you think
it's hard
will be knocking on my door.
It's hard to get people to book people, or you have more people trying to book
constantly. Do you want to do the show? Do you want to do the show? It's like I'm trying to get people in the habit of asking me. So now I have a private slotted list and people's emails and email everybody.
Yeah,
so a date.
And that's amazing.
Going to Los Angeles, telling people about it.
The use of slotted. I remember when it first showed up, I'm like, dope. I'm like, give email, all this. But then you use slotted for your mics at Quantum Brewery Fridays and Saturdays. Plug, ding. And then Carla and Zach at MP Bar use the slotted thing. I like it because it's an estimation of how many comics are going to show up. I realize not all of them are going to show up, but it gives you a good estimation of like, yeah, you're going to be able to go up based upon these times. Booking the featured comics, I mean, it's a great way for people to stretch their legs. I love how you mix the featured comics in with give the people the longer time set. I know talking with some of the newer comics, as we're all waiting in the wings in Comics Row, that they're grateful for that, and I know I am too.
Entry, like obviously, if the most famous comic in the world happened to show up, I definitely would let them go up. But also,
bump everybody else for a comic that's going to destroy.
Yeah. But also, I try to get people that's their first show. That's the whole range.
And then for marketing, you're using like Facebook groups and meetup groups.
Meetup group, Eventbrite.
Because
trying to get more people. Part of the goal of the podcast is to encourage people to see live comedy.
Well, yeah. I mean, butts and seats. Support comedy, support the craft and art form that is comedy. I mean. I'm here, plugging myself, answering these questions, also wanting to, talk about, you have your mic. I accidentally became a trivia host on Mondays at JP's Pub, as some comics end up karaoke hosts, like my friend Ragu. On Mondays I'm doing like 2 hours of mic time at JP's Pub. I'm now up to 33 weeks, which is great, of writing the darkest and rowdiest trivia, and I get to explore a lot of good comedy, mic time, crowd work.
That's great.
But trying to get people. All 49 questions, and actually have regulars showing up. The bar gives away a bottle. Gordon Downs has been kind enough to donate roast battle tickets. As well, so each week you could win tickets to that or one of my shitty comedy shows. Ding. But
that's on Monday?
Yeah, that's on Mondays, 7 o'clock. Been doing it the last 33 weeks. JP's Pub in Terrasana. Aside from that, just comedy bookings and like trying to get butts and seats. The marketing I do is just local Terrasana groups posting about it, my own social media posting about it. But in essence, people keep showing up because it's comedy basically, but it's also trivia.
Okay, if you want, I can put it up on the meetup group, San Diego Comedy Live.
Yeah, I'll send you links. For sure.
If you just join San Diego Comedy Live, and then I'll make the event, and I'll make you the host.
Okay.
And then if you have to if you change the wording or you want to add pictures or say the location changes, you can just handle it.
Cool.
And then you can message people that have RSVP.
Yeah. Next level marketing. I love it. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that off podcast because I
know you're not going to remember. I get it.
Yeah, mixture of coffee and cannabis.
Yeah, it tastes really good.
It does. It's great for an afternoon.
So what are your goals in comedy right now?
Keep having fun. Try to get funnier. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So it's like I can't gauge my path in comedy with others. I just want to continue to get funnier. I want to, get funnier. Eventually, get booked more, which is all upon me of trying to get out more.
Yeah.
My goals.
So are you doing your own podcast? Do you have your own merch?
I do have my own podcast. It's before, now, and after. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, all the places that you find your podcasts. I started that one over pandemic for the first few episodes and then stopped and then restarted it about a year ago. I think I'm up to episode 14 now. So I do that,
once a month or something?
Was doing it weekly. Took a break the last couple of weeks as life has gotten pretty heavy. But I'll be circling back to more episodes. So through that podcast, social medias, Instagram at Randy Villarba, on Twitter at Randy Writes, WRITES. I'm always posting jokes, content, clips, trying to get the word out that way. But my goal in comedy, eventually be able to get paid more to do it, and that comes with getting funnier. That gets out with meeting the club owners and hitting the road more
and not giving up.
Yeah, and hitting the road more, meeting the bookers, and then that falls into hitting the road more. And where I'm at right now, what's going on in my life, having to stay in San Diego, look after my mom, which is why I'm here in San Diego. It just kind of puts the road on hold for me at this for the time being. And dude, I've already did the road thing as a teenager when I was in a ska band. I've fucking toured over like 17 states as a support act. My band Broken Pretzel toured with Real Big Fish, MXPX.
Pretzel.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's one of your jokes. But yeah, for a couple years was the support act for Real Big Fish and MXPX, and did the road thing back in the analog days. And there's just something about the road that is great, but I also know how tiring the road is. Going back to how did I start comedy? I was on the road as an electrician, so I know how weathering the road could be. So it's something eventually I could see myself doing. So that's where my goal in comedy would be eventually getting back on the road. Because it's one thing to tell your jokes here in San Diego or Southern California, occasionally up to LA, or when I go out to Vegas, which is another home away from home regarding comedy. But trying to figure out what the Midwest thinks about, at least what I think is funny, going back east to visit my family in Brooklyn to figure out, is that kind of funny? Or visiting my family out in Dallas, or friends out in Austin, which, of course, Austin's a mecca. I still haven't worked my way out there. I want to know if what I find funny, how do these different states react? So till then, I'm just banking my material. Going back to the golf analogy, learning how to swing a driver, a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, pitching wedge, sand wedge, then fucking hybrid. And then if I'm Casey Jones, from the Turtles. What is a hockey stick doing back there, along with the sword? Anyways,
so do you have like a favorite fan interaction? Either you were a fan of somebody, or people were a fan of your music or your comedy.
Favorite fan interaction, music-wise, that hasn't happened in forever because I hadn't played with that band since the 1900s. Yeah, the band disbanded in '99. I'll start with the band. On YouTube, someone had uploaded our demo tape, which I thought was really cool. Goes back to when we were all teenagers, as young as 14 18. Recorded at Double Time Studios. Jeff Forrest was the man who produced it at Double Time Studios. Jeff Forrest is just retiring, depending on when you post this. I believe they're doing a farewell show for Jeff Forrest at the Casbah tonight. But yeah,
it's gonna already be passed. Sorry, people.
Okay, well, you should have been there. I'll be there tonight. Casbah, say farewell to Jeff Forrest. He's moving to Portugal. But yeah, and then so the fact that someone uploaded that, and then the comment section of just people remembering the band, that was cool. People that reminiscing. I'd say over the last couple of years, because it's really cool to see that people still like music written by teenagers who really hadn't figured out time signatures yet. And as far as comedy fan interaction, I'd have to say just the support I have of friends that are still going out to see me this late in the game, and they're like, well, at least he's not doing the sea beaner joke anymore. Proof that I've evolved past like jokes I've started with. I have a good selection of friends that are still going out to support me. Me in my 40s now, I have a lot of friends that are constantly wanting to support me, but they now have their own families and kids to start, so that just turns into phone calls on jokes, or me sending them clips with the occasional thumbs up or that was fucked up laugh emoji. That kind of fan interaction is what keeps me going, because to the randoms, the nobodies, in stand-up comedy you get the instant gratification if people like you or not. And then as the shows end, I'm usually out there smoking a cigarette or something else, and people will come up, occasional photos or follow on Instagram, and that's kind of cool. But the friends that are constantly showing up in support of you, that's the best fan interaction that I like in my comedy, because there are people who are supporting your art as you're trying to fucking figure out, did I come up with that? Did the muse come up with that? Did life just fucking throw that in my face? Well, let's make this shit funny.
Yeah, that's cool. So what was your family like growing up?
I grew up in the suburbs, Terrasana here in San Diego. The youngest, my sister Marie's 11 years older than me, brother 12, and then eldest 14 years older than me. So I felt like I grew up with 5 parents telling me what to do. And then as all 3 of them moved away to college, then I was, my parents were doing the best they could, both working hard. I was a latchkey kid in high school, which led to sports, playing soccer, football, at Sarah High School, which is now Canyon Hills High School, because they changed the name, because Sarah High School, Hanupero Sarah, I guess, is cancelable to the native Indians, so now we're Canyon Hills High School. How can you be a canyon and a hill at the same time? Anyways.
Well, it's just a big high school.
It is now, with everyone being busted in, but that's a whole other thing.
The canyon and the hill.
Okay, so it's both. Got it. Now it makes sense to me. Either way, when you drive by it, it looks like a Benihana with the red and white. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, so growing up, that was fun. Then I picked up a guitar and learned that playing in a band would allow me to touch boobies. And then, was playing music with my ska band. Then picked up a saxophone, played Barry Sax. We were playing Soma, Showcase Theater, all the venues here. Then that ended up on the road out to Arizona, and yeah, that was the 90s for me. That was like my childhood, and then yeah, fucking, it was awesome. I felt like an Asian Zach Morris because my senior year, I had the ability to just leave high school, and they wouldn't stop me. Like this one time, I drove my car across campus just to see if I could, and they let me, which was weird. Yeah, I miss the 90s. I miss my childhood. It was fun. Because now I'm in my 40s going, how the fuck do we figure this out?
So what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory? Wow, that's a gnarly question. One of my earliest memories, my dad used to pile the family in an orange Volkswagen van, and we were on a road trip up to the Pacific Northwest. My family used to dress me up in tank tops. There's photos. It's just weird. But I remember like going through the redwood forest on that road trip. We ended up going through Seattle and chasing pigeons in Pioneer Square. Yeah, like those were my first memories, were the road trip in that Volkswagen van with all six of us, driving up and down California up to Canada. I think I was maybe 3 or 4. Yeah.
That's cool. Nice. So would you ever do a character on stage?
I over Comic-Con, I don't know if you were there, I did Darth Vader.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I put on a Darth Vader mask because if you dressed up in cosplay, of course, you would be pulled from the bucket. So yeah, I went on and did 3 minutes as Darth Vader. Wow. I'm going to expand on that next Comic-Con because I got a couple laughs and looking on Instagram. I need redemption. So because the first thing I said was like, I hate sand people. And then it's like, I miss my wife Padme. She went to Stanford. I need to edit that because she actually went to Harvard, not Stanford. But I could have sworn I had a friend who went to Stanford. Either way, it was a pretty meta angle, and got a few laughs. So yeah, I think Vader doing comedy, I feel that's something that San Diego Comics needs to explore more. Like I know out in Denver, there's a lot of character comedy, where they do like historic roasts, or people all show up as comic book characters or something. I know it's niche and dare I say improv-y, but I feel like when done right, it's entertaining. There's this one stand-up comic, doesn't do comedy anymore, but Russell Brock, going back to the Till 2 bar mics, he used to dress up as Deadpool before Deadpool was huge, totally full cosplay, and would do stand-up as Deadpool. Some of the funniest things he did, until I remember him and Gordon Downs got in a back and forth, and I remember Russell dressed up as Deadpool, removing the mask and kicking his own car and breaking his foot. I think that happened. Either way, then I never saw Russell do Deadpool ever again. Comedy history. Or worse. Yeah, I miss Till 2. That was a rowdy place. An awesome place. The Night Stalker comedy was fun. But yeah, character mics would be fun. Doing comedy as characters would be fun. Ryan Barassa in Vegas dresses up as Batman. Some of my favorite character work as a comic doing characters.
Oh, that's cool. Sweet. So have you ever won a comedy contest or anything like that?
The best I've done was third place at Ace's Comedy Club, and it had to be 2014 or 2015, I want to say. Yeah. I was surprised I made it that far. driving up to, I believe it was Rocky's Club, Osborne's club at the time. This was when it was at its second location. I remember going up, making the quarterfinals. I think Paul Conyers ended up winning the final, but getting third place. Second place, I believe, was Jose Figueroa.
Okay.
I think that's who got second place.
Is he doing comedy anymore?
Yeah, I believe so. Don't quote me on that guy's last name because I haven't done comedy in that circuit. But I know Conyers. I know Conyers is still doing comedy. That guy, I've seen him come through. Jose, like I've seen him work through the Laugh Factory circuit, more so in the Laugh Factory up in what would be Orange County, LA.
Oh, okay.
And I might be fucking butchering his last name, but yeah. That's as far as I got, and I think that's the last time I ever really entered competitions. Kind of falls into like the movie North Shore, like a Soul Surfer approach. Like I'm not really in it for the competition. Just
Sure.
trying to have fun with it.
Have you been on like Kill Tony?
I've been on Kill Tony twice.
Okay.
Back when it started up, I was driving up to LA quite a bit to watch it. And then when they did the first time they came to La Jolla Comedy Store, they pulled me out of the bucket. It's not on the Kill Tony Death Squad channel, but if you look on YouTube, you can find it. Billy Bennell, I believe, was the guest host for that one. And then I was on the Vegas episode the second time they came through Vegas when they played the dive bar. That was fucking crazy raucous. That was with Joel and Jeremiah when the Kill Tony band was still there.
Yeah.
So I've been on those 2 times.
Cool. So you have like a best booking story, like you got booked on a show, or you were booking a show that you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I got on that show, or I can't believe we actually booked this comic.
Booking, how I accidentally ended up working with Shauna at Humphreys. It was a lot of fun. She's the booker at Humphreys, the show I used to run at Backstage Live, and helping coordinate the shows with her was a lot of fun. Just doing Backstage Live, that room is beautiful. The comics that we were able to work with, like I remember before I started working with her, I went up to a show in Venice to watch Venice Underground, which was run by Bronson Jones and Matt Devlin. And at that time, I had met Tom Rhodes, and I was sitting there with him going, hey, I hope one day I'll have a show, worthy of being able to bring you down. And we were sitting there in Venice. And then I remember going to a show in Marina del Rey by Venice Underground, having that same conversation with Tom, and then now do a show at Humphreys. The opportunities that Sean was like, hey, we have an opening date. Let's see what we could do. And then, Tom Rhodes had headlined there a couple times working with Tom. It's so much fun. And then the other headliners, of course, Vicky Barbalak. It's amazing to work with. She packs that joint. And then Mal Hall has done a couple nights there. And then of course, like Kate Quigley, one of her last shows before moving away from California, was a good headliner that we had there. I had Frank Castillo, roast battle champion and a Puffco sponsor comic. He headlined there. Like working with all those different headliners and being able to kind of pay back the comics that have kind of helped me along the way, just by going, hey, here's the show, and let's entertain, the people of Shelter Island and Point Loma. That was a great show. Watching it grow, I can't wait for Shauna's next call to go like, all right, let's start up the comedy show and then try to work there. Doing the booking there, it's all Shauna. But I love working with her to help identify what local comics should we be throwing up there. And I mean, it was really cool to have my finger on the pulse of local comedy hitting the mics here in San Diego, because I talked about San Diego being a pond or a bay or this this pool that we're all working in, but watching the comics grow over the last few years since moving back to San Diego has been a joy. And I mean, the closest thing I have to any kind of booking of my own would be just references to Humphreys. Aside from that, dude, I'm just like dust in the wind with you. Where are you going to allow me to do comedy? These mics that we're going to hop in on these buckets later on Tuesday, to be continued.
Is there a place that you want to get booked at that you haven't got booked at yet?
The Comedy Cellar, whether it be Vegas or New York, but that's definitely, you earn that.
Yeah.
Like I know Noam, the owner. I was fortunate enough to meet Liz when they opened up the Vegas location, and then it's really cool being able to go to the Vegas cellar and then just kind of like hang out and chill and learn and observe. And then when I was out in New York that summer, having that same like, hey, hang out, chill, observe. And I look at the comics that then get passed by SV, and the comics that get those graces to be able to grace those stages have earned it. They're doing those competitions, they're doing those festivals, and that's something that here I am at year 11. I feel like I'm just a sophomore or maybe a junior if this was a university. Yeah. Like, I'm not claiming to be a senior or even finished with my upper division. I still have plenty to fucking learn. Until then, until I hit the road, until I earn it, by actually submissions to festivals where people are like, you know what? I think one that I'm aiming for sure would be Skankfest, because that fits that fits my crowd. I need people that want to be hammered, fucked up late into the evening and understand how to laugh at dark shit. That's why I feel like what Death Squad and people who've all killed Tony, that audience that they've been able to procure when they do comedy in larger venues. Lock up your phone because the shit we're saying is cancelable and let's all fucking laugh. That's where comedy should be. Like, at least that's the audience I'm aiming for. I know I could crack up people that like fucked up shit. I do it on a daily basis, whether I'm hanging at the bar doing that trivia thing I do on Mondays, or going to a punk show waiting for the band and being that guy that's just, can't believe he said that. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? But people are still smiling and laughing. Yeah. I forgot what the question was.
Good luck. That's all good. I think we answered it, or you answered it. Did I already ask you about merch? Do you have any merch right now?
No merch. Probably should do merch.
At least stickers.
Or stickers. But yeah, just go to my socials and show up and watch my stand-up comedy. Eventually there might be merch. If you do want something of mine, show up on Mondays at JP's Pub for Terra Santa Trivia, and first place we'll give away a bottle. I'll sign that. That'll be random merch.
There you go. So what is it, a bottle of what?
Well, they rotate. The trivia is sponsored by Manibal Tequila, peanut butter tequila, and then Bay City Brewing. But we've given away various mezcal tequilas, agave tequilas, give away a pepper flavored vodka. We gave away a bottle of Fireball this last week. So I really think it's what do they have a high stock of, and but people are stoked on the Fireball, people are stoked on the vodka. And then the second, third place usually gets comedy tickets. Occasionally I'll have like consolation gifts. I've given away a Bible, because heathens need God, I guess.
Sure.
The Bible only cost me like $1 at Goodwill, and then I did a topic on gods.
That's cool. So do you need people to donate stuff to give away?
No, but it's always fun. If you'd like to donate, my Venmo is at Randy Villarba. Any money you send my way goes directly to my ability to pay off JP Chase credit cards, because I spent a lot of money on my credit card chasing the dream of stand-up comedy and Tool concerts and Primus concerts and wine and stuff I can't afford. You know, the finer things in life. Travel, gas money. So at Randy Villarba on Venmo if you would like to donate. If you made it this far in the podcast, awesome. I would like to thank my friend Kyle Canning, because occasionally he'll toss me money for comedy and living the dream. And that's a good pat on the back. Going back to fans looking out for you and fan interactions. He's a friend, an old coworker, but a fan as well. That's always fun, getting money for comedy.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Until then, we'll try to figure out what wage Uncle Sam is taxing and what job we do.
Exactly. Yeah, when you send money, make sure you put that it's a donation. It's not a purchase.
Yeah, try to keep it on private. If it's over a certain amount and it needs to be a tax write-off, just send a smaller amount and then just message me on Facebook or Instagram and let's just have lunch. And like good lunch conversation. Going back to my own podcast before, now, and after. I should have you on my podcast, but like I don't only have comics. You know, it was really cool interviewing people from all walks of life. That would be something that'd be kind of cool. Either send money via Venmo, another plug, or let's have lunch and let's record it and talk about life and comedy, or worse.
Yeah, it's comedy is a way to deal with the worst parts of life.
It is a way to kind of transmute via verbal and psychological alchemy.
What are the other ways of dealing with
Drinking alcohol.
Well, that doesn't really deal with the problem.
It mutes it until you die. I've seen that, and sadly have buried enough people who have chosen that route. But also, I've seen the people who've been able to drink well into later periods of life. Like I have an uncle, he's like 86, and he's still driving around, and we asked him what his secret to life was, and he's like, I smoke cigarettes, I drink scotch, and I gamble. And like some people, I guess get to live those extra years as they drink. And he's funny, he's hilarious, but yeah, careful driving around a black Accord around Terrasana, especially after 2 or 3, because you got to wonder how many scotches does he have in him. Asians and cars. There's a couple dents and scratches on the passenger side of the car I'm describing. Anyways, yeah, Uncle Ernie, love you.
Oh yeah. So is there anything else that you want to talk about?
When did you start doing comedy?
This is year 6.
Year 6.
Still trying to figure out, it was hard to do it during lockdown because I was here in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Keeping this place going.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The Madhouse.
Locking it down at the Madhouse. So year 6. What advice would you give? Because you run 2 open mics, which God bless you, dude. Like when I ran my open mic at coincidentally the same bar, JP's Pub. After a while, I was like, oh, thank God I'm moving, because it ends up being a headache. But you're running a really good, successful mic. What advice do you have to the new classic comics
I mean, like, just you need to appreciate, you know, people that are running shows and mics, and I also, like, I would give a weird advice, and maybe other bookers wouldn't, is that, at least for me, I'm finding there's people not asking to be on shows.
Yeah, that's me. I hate asking. Like, I'm one of those guys.
Don't be afraid to ask, especially. Like,
yeah, that is great.
Especially if they have you on the show. Like, I understand not wanting to do the same show over and over, but if like a couple months gone by, ask to do it again. You know?
The asking for sure, and then it's just like knowing the bookers that I've worked with. It's like you have to keep asking because they're the people who are constantly asking that they're trying to weather through, and then they do want to rotate you in, but then you kind of get forgotten about if you don't cross paths with them. Asking is great advice to the new ones. For me, I would also follow up with, don't be too butthurt if people don't book you after asking, because perseverance is how you get booked.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely like with lineups on a show. It's a lot of times it's not personal. It's just like, oh, we already have someone that's dark. Does dark
humor. like Brown or like
dark
RJ
humor.
Like Corey dark, or are we talking like Dante Cordova dark, or me after doing the pool routes with Jim Pine dark? Because my arms
maybe have a whole show that is dark humor and you don't fit the bill, or so don't worry about it.
We're talking like Camille dark.
Everything. What if it's a dark comic that does dark humor?
Dark comic who does dark humor. Yeah. Like, give me an example. A dark comic.
I don't know.
Who does dark humor? Because Corey Ryan does some pretty light humor. By that I mean white humor coming from a black guy. And you can say the same about RJ, kind of, sort of, unless when he drinks. Love you, RJ. He's over at Yellow Door now. But the other dark. Give me a dark. Okay, or I'm sorry, a black comic who goes dark.
I can't think of it.
I know. Will, if you pay me. That guy always goes dark.
Also, advice is if you are in San Diego or you're going to come to San Diego, email comedyOrWorse@gmail.com. If I don't know you, send your clips to try to get booked either on the podcast or to be a feature on Quantum Brewing. Those are Friday and Saturday nights. Get you in those private slotted lists, and save the email. I gotta remember to put in the email, save this email, because someone just lost the email and I had to send it to them again. The person had signed up and then they wanted to switch the date. And it's like, unless you're on the flyer, put yourself on a date, take yourself off. There's no reason to message me. I have to memorize a million things. I might go, I thought there was somebody for Friday, but I won't, remember who it is. And unless I export the data, it slotted doesn't keep it. It just says, oh, well, it's not what it's for to keep track of that. It's for who is right now signed up
for the mic,
for the open mic or the features or the podcast. It worked good, right?
Yeah, it worked good. I had this window in the schedule. It worked out perfectly for me.
You signed up, and then you emailed me right after, which was cool. But it's not necessary because I just constantly am checking that. How well is it working? Like, nobody signed up for yesterday. Yeah. There was 2 slots yesterday, but it worked out great because it's like Mondays are a good time to my first day off.
Yeah. But it's like a good day to downshift. But that's one thing I admire about you, the amount of content that you pump out. With your podcast, you're producing 2 nights a week of open mics. I mean, you're here at the Madhouse a lot. Like you're doing what it takes, and it's like so. Some
I'm
people,
addicted.
yeah, addicted to comedy. Exactly. It's either comedy or worse. And what's worse? Dealing with life without comedy. That would be worse for me.
Yeah, we drove to LA to do 7th Night on Sunday.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Dayton got up. He said he didn't have a good set, but still he got up. Me and Wes didn't get up, but it still was great.
Yeah.
Because I remembered to network with people.
Which is key,
You know?
especially when you leave San Diego or just whatever city you're at. The comics that you meet on the road, it's great when you re-meet them again somewhere else.
Yeah.
And going back to the whole clickiness comment earlier, it's just like it becomes larger than a clique. It becomes a family when you start realizing it's not just who you're with. There's something larger than... It's like when I see the comics that eventually end up graduating, quote unquote, from the golden ticket of Kill Tony, and then they just end up being their own person, their own comic. Yeah. Or you're no longer part of the clique. Everybody helped lift each other, and there are people who are met through the network, typically on the road. So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I wish all the comics good luck on the road. In other words, get out of the city so there are less people. There are less people, and it's easier for... No, I'm kidding. Everybody has a different path. Everybody has a interesting path in comedy.
Well, yeah, I just need to move to San Diego. Come visit.
I just will judge you silently as I sit in the back. And I am hoping I'm laughing. Or standing outside smoking a cigarette, wondering... or something else.
It's legal.
Well, quote unquote.
So what do you think about that? When do you think that's going to crack? Do you think Harris is going to win and we're going to...
politics.
Well, I mean, doesn't politics and something that...
They've dangled...
affects your life, right?
They've dangled the legalization carrot most of my life. I thought they were going to legalize it under Biden. That was one of the major selling points towards the end. Now you have Kamala, who honestly was a prosecutor, saying she's going to roll it out. Having worked in the cannabis industry as long as I have, the people who have a foot in the game right now are making decent money if they're surviving. Legalizing it on a national stage would restructure the tax structure of the cannabis market. What makes it even funnier is there's still the existing black market. That shows how large this industry is. For me, I prefer the legal market because it guarantees that the cannabis that you're intaking has been lab tested and is safe. And then typically high terpene effective when it gets to the medicinal benefits. There are brands like Papa's and Barkley or Mary's Medicinals that focus on isolating terpenes and cannabinoids for medicinal use. CBD? Yeah, CBD, like CBD patches, transdermal patches, or even CBG patches, or 1-to-1 CBD, THC. I know I'm just rambling numbers, but these are all various.
Know what you're talking about.
They're all varying levels of anti-inflammatory or antifungal or pain relieving medications that I know plenty of people, including people in my family, use to help alleviate pain and mitigate what they're dealing with. My cannabis use definitely focuses on chasing certain terpenes that help alleviate anxiety, especially, as I was saying, we're all going through shit in the world.
What makes people paranoid then?
Depends on the terpenes of the cannabis and where people are mentally, because if you smoke like terpenoline, which is known to gas up people's creativity, thought process. If someone starts panicking because they can't stop the thought process, well, would create paranoia. Or if you smoke myrcene or linalool, where it shuts everything down and you feel like you're trapped in ice, and you're not used to that, that also creates some kind of paranoia. For me, it's having been there before and knowing that what you want out of cannabis and how you want to feel. You could actually drive the experience if you understand the terpenes and the specific plants and genetics. that you're actually intaking, whether it be via smoking it or, like I said, transdermally.
So they're constantly breeding the plants and trying to get different effects. Do you ever think it will get so potent that it's too much?
Potency is something they're always chasing, as they're chasing higher potency levels in concentrates. I don't even think that's that big of a deal, because that's to get to extreme high potency of plants. Those are just growers who know what they're doing, which is a small market, but they'll charge accordingly. The people who are worried about potency on concentrates specifically to chase THC numbers, at that point, barely understand the concept of extraction, but they're doing that for commercial use. And potency always boils down to gold in, gold out. What's the quality of the flower? Where are you starting? And then the extractors or the lab technicians, what are they doing in order to just make sure there's still some beneficial use with cannabinoids and terpenes, flavonoids? What does it deliver? There's so much concentration on THC numbers, and that doesn't even do everything, and that's where most of the regulation on potency is focused on. It's funny though, the law
studies about memory loss though, because there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that abuse it.
So do alcohol. So does most of the seed oils, and the way our food's cooked creates memory loss. Here's a fun experiment. For the last 20 years, I mentioned my old ska band, like going back to the old 1900s. Randy's been just that weed smoker, occasionally drinking alcohol. There's been one member of the band who definitely likes drinking his beer. You fast forward 20 years, and we're trying to recall things that happened. Who has a better recollection of things that happened? The stoner who smoked weed, or the dude who has been drinking alcohol for 20 years? I'll put that to thought, as I could sit there and recall things almost like they just happened. And it's funny to talk to people who found their way to the drink, and then if you debate the memory loss of someone who is blacked out those parts of their memory. There's no debate.
Alcohol.
But like a memory loss for cannabis. No drugs. But then then I was just going but then you go into what is the body truly intaking, and there's memory loss with people who don't eat healthy. When depression takes over, people lock down. It's funny to see how people focus on the intake of just cannabis, but we live in America. Drugs are everywhere, whether we know it or not. And then we look at the toxicity.
Sugar's a drug, caffeine's a drug.
The drugs are drugs.
The drugs are drugs?
The drugs are drugs are a great quote. I think it's the name of my third album, if I survive. The drugs are drugs.
Comedy album or ska band album?
I don't know. Probably by the third time, whatever sells on vinyl.
Hell yeah. All right. So I think this is a good place to end.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to plug a couple shows. On September 11th, I'll be at U31 in North Park. Mike McCullough's show. Sunset Comedy.
This will already be over, so what you should do...
Okay, this will already be over. Okay, so then the next one would be Roast Battle. First Wednesday of November, I will be battling Josh Loya, the blind comic.
Nice.
So I will be...
I battled him before. I lost. It was fun.
Okay, yeah, no, it's going to be a battle of wits, and let's see how dark I could get. Anything I say to him will be dark, because, that's what he sees. But yeah, I'll be battling him the first Wednesday of November, so that'll be fun. And then just show up to JP's Pub. Trivia starts at 7, and I think by the time this comes out, I will probably also be hosting trivia every other Tuesday at Novo Brewing in Mission Valley. That's a new contract I'll be signing. Other than that, follow me on Instagram at Randy Villarba, on Twitter or X. I'm dead naming that platform, X, Twitter, at Randy Writes, WRITES. YouTube occasionally, and my podcast before, now, and after.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the roast, I'm roasting Dayton Chapelier the first Wednesday in October.
Nice. 2 months. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, by the time this comes out, it'll be next month.
Next month. Okay, so this is gonna be next month.
Like,
this is like
this is
like a weird timeline, Marvel alternate timeline in the future. Okay, I will also be announcing other bookings on my social media if you make it this deep.
Keep up with them.
Well, dude, thank you for having me, Aaron. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for coming.
Of course.
And,
Haha,
say
coming.
bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Au revoir. So long. Farewell. Au revoir. Say goodbye. Adieu. Adieu to you and you and you.